A guy walked into my shop last week with a 4-year-old SUV and a $7,200 transmission quote. He paid $48,000 for it new. He owes more than it is worth. Meanwhile, a 10-year-old SUV sat in the next bay over. 280,000 kilometers on the clock. Original transmission. And the owner had spent under $400 all year. Everything Canadians have been told about which SUVs hold up came from dealer lots and 20 years of glossy ad campaigns. It has been costing buyers thousands in depreciation and repairs ever since. I almost made the same mistake 2 years ago. Then a guy named Mike, who runs a 600-vehicle municipal fleet out of Hamilton and keeps every maintenance ticket in a binder thicker than a phone book, sat me down at his kitchen table and walked me through what he actually buys. What he tracks every month is what I am sharing with you. Before we get into the list, I want to flag the number one SUV right now. It depreciates slower than every Toyota on the road, and almost nobody on a Canadian dealer lot recommends it. I will tell you exactly which one at the end. Everything I am about to show you builds toward that. Today, I am revealing the 5 cheap SUVs no Canadian buys, and what fleet owners and shop mechanics have known for years that dealers have never had any interest in telling you. Number 5 is a 2015 Mazda CX-5 that came into my shop last March with 312,000 kilometers on it. The owner wanted me to check the timing chain because she was nervous. I dropped the oil pan and the chain was original. The valves had never been adjusted. The only major repair on the entire service history was a water pump at 240,000 kilometers. She had paid $11,000 for the car 3 years earlier. For the last decade, Canadians have been told the CX-5 is fine, but boring, and that you should be looking at a CR-V or a RAV4 if you want something that lasts. That belief came from Toyota and Honda owning the Canadian compact SUV ad budget for 15 straight years. The 2014 to 2017 CX-5 with the 2.5-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder is one of the most over-engineered drivetrains in its entire price class, and almost nobody talks about it. For you, this means a clean 2015 today runs from $11,000 to $14,000, and the next 150,000 kilometers will cost you about $1,800 in maintenance if you do nothing stupid. The buyers who already know this are pulling these cars off Facebook Marketplace before they ever hit a dealer lot, because dealers do not want to sell you a $12,000 used Mazda when there is a $34,000 new one on the showroom floor. But if you think the CX-5 was underrated, the next one is where things get genuinely strange. The Korean SUV I am about to recommend was on the federal recall list twice. Canadians have been avoiding it ever since. Here is what they missed. Number 4. There is a Hyundai master tech named Raj who works in a shop in Mississauga, and he has 19 years of experience with the brand. The day I called him, he was wrist deep in a transmission. He wiped his hands, walked me back to his office, and pulled a stack of work orders off a shelf. He flipped through them in front of me. Of the Santa Fe's made after 2014 that he sees regularly, the average mileage on the original engine when they come in for unrelated work is 247,000 kilometers. He has one customer at 384,000 kilometers. For roughly 12 years, Canadians have been told to stay away from used Hyundais because of the engine seizure recalls. That belief came from the period from 2011 to 2012, involving Theta 2 2.0 turbo and 2.4 GDI engines that did, in fact, have a manufacturing defect. The story stuck. The cars that came after did not. The Santa Fe from 2013 to 2018, with the 2.4-liter Theta 2 non-turbo, after the second-generation block update, has one of the lowest catastrophic failure rates of any midsize SUV sold in Canada in that window. For you, this means a 2016 Santa Fe Sport with the 2.4 today runs $9,000 to $13,000. And you can buy it with the original 10-year, 160,000 kilometers powertrain warranty, already proven out by someone else. Buyers who already know this are getting a mid-size SUV with heated seats, all-wheel drive, and a working engine for less than what most people spend on a new transmission. The next one should not be on this list by any conventional metric. But there is one specific thing about it that fleet operators pay attention to that retail buyers almost never find out about. We are not at number 1 yet, and that one is worth staying for. But what you have just learned is already putting 2 SUVs on your radar that do not show up on any best used SUV list in the Canadian press. The number one I flagged in the hook depreciates slower than every Toyota on the road. Almost nobody on a Canadian dealer lot recommends it. Hold that, we get to it. Number 3. Mike runs 47 Ford Edges in his municipal fleet. He pulled the master spreadsheet up on his laptop while we were sitting at his kitchen table. The 2011 to 2014 models with the 3.5-liter Duratec V6, the naturally aspirated engine, not the EcoBoost, retired at an average mileage of 412,000 kilometers on the original engine. Across the entire fleet, over 8 years, the transmission failure rate was under 3%. He scrolled past line after line of the same story. For most of the last 15 years, Canadians have been told the Ford Edge is a rental car SUV, and that anything Ford from that era is going to nickel and dime you to death. That belief came from a combination of bad public relations after the EcoBoost transmission complaints, and dealer service writers steering customers toward newer models. The 2011 to 2014 Edge with the 3.5-liter Duratec V6 is one of the most boring yet remarkably durable midsize platforms Ford has ever sold. For you, this means a 2013 Edge SEL with the 3.5-liter V6 today runs $7,500 to $10,500, and that is a midsize SUV with a fleet-validated drivetrain for the price of a used Civic. Fleet companies have been buying these quietly for years. There is a reason they do not advertise that. Public knowledge of this car drives prices up, and it stays out of consumer reports because Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book do not get paid by fleet auctions. The story behind the next one is one I almost did not include because I was not sure people would believe it. I checked the data 3 times. Here is what it shows. Number 2 is a car I tore down in my shop last spring. A 2016 Mitsubishi Outlander with 287,000 kilometers on it. The owner brought it in because he wanted to know if the CVT was about to die before he handed the car down to his son. I pulled the transmission. I cut into the housing. The CVT belt was within manufacturing spec, which is something I had never seen before on a vehicle that high in mileage. The torque converter clutch material was at 60% of original. I called the owner. I told him to drive it for another 100,000 kilometers. He had paid $6,800 for the car 18 months earlier. For the better part of a decade, Canadians have been told Mitsubishi is basically dead, and that buying one means you will never find parts and the dealer network will collapse before your warranty runs out. That belief came from Mitsubishi closing dealerships across Ontario and Quebec from 2016 to 2020, and from automotive journalists who have not driven the brand in years. The dealer network has shrunk. The drivetrain did not. The Outlander made from 2014 to 2019 with the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder engine, paired with the Jatco continuously variable transmission, is one of the most overbuilt powertrains in the segment, and the only major maintenance item it asks for is CVT fluid every 60,000 kilometers. For you, this means a clean 2017 Outlander GT with 7 seats and all-wheel drive today runs $11,000 to $15,000. And the maintenance schedule is published in the manual at a level of detail Toyota does not match. Owners who already know this are running these to 350,000 kilometers on under $3,000 of cumulative maintenance. That is a number Canadian dealers actively do not want in print. Everything in the first half of this list adds up to about $35,000 in depreciation and repair costs you can sidestep entirely if you buy with this information instead of off the lot. What is coming next is where the numbers get harder to believe. Because the final one is the SUV Mike was holding back the whole time he was showing me his ledger. He did not want me to put it on this video. I did anyway. If any of this is changing how you look at the used market, hit subscribe. We cover Canadian-specific used vehicle teardowns every week, and a lot of this information does not exist anywhere else online. We are down to the final one. This almost never appears in articles or other videos, not because it is unknown, but because the people who know it have no incentive to share it. Dealers lose money when buyers learn this. Auction houses keep it quiet on purpose. Until now. Number 1. Mike walked me out of his kitchen after we finished the binder, took me into his garage, and pulled the cover off a black SUV with 389,000 kilometers on the odometer. Body on frame. 4.6-liter V8. Toyota built transfer case. He bought it in 2017 with 140,000 kilometers on it for $34,000. In the 7 years he had owned it, the only non-routine repair was a $480 cam position sensor. He showed me the Carfax. I ran it twice myself when I got home. The badge on the back said Lexus GX 460. In the hook, I told you the number 1 SUV depreciates slower than every Toyota on the road, and almost nobody on a Canadian dealer lot recommends it. That SUV is the 2010 to 2019 Lexus GX 460. For the last 15 years, Canadians have been told it is an old man Lexus with a thirsty V8 and a dated interior, and that if you want a body-on-frame Toyota product, you should be looking at a 4Runner. That belief came from Lexus Canada, who positioned the GX as a soft road luxury vehicle, and from a generation of automotive journalists who never opened the hood. The GX 460 shares its ladder frame, transfer case, and one GR-FE derived 4.6-liter V8 with the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado, which is the SUV the United Nations buys for combat zones because it is the most reliable four-wheel drive vehicle Toyota has ever built. For you, this means a 2014 GX 460 today runs $32,000 to $38,000 in Canada, with 150,000 to 200,000 kilometers on it, and the depreciation curve from year 7 to year 15 is the flattest of any vehicle Toyota or Lexus sells. A new RAV4 will lose $14,000 of value in 3 years. A used GX 460 in the same window loses about $3,000. That is the difference between an SUV that costs you money to own and one that holds value while it works for you. This is the difference between buying a vehicle and buying an asset. That gap is not mechanical. It is informational. Most Canadian buyers will walk past most single one of these SUVs at every dealer lot and marketplace listing this weekend. Not because they are careless. It is because nobody showed them what you just learned. You now see the Canadian used SUV market differently from 90% of the people scrolling AutoTrader and Kijiji right now. You can recognize a fleet-validated drivetrain. You can read a Carfax against a maintenance schedule. You know which engine code to avoid and which one to chase. The next person at a dealer counter trying to upsell you a 5-year warranty on a $42,000 SUV is going to find out you read his service binder before he opened it. If this changed how you think about buying a used SUV in Canada, share it with someone who is about to make the wrong decision. This is not the kind of information that shows up on the first page of a Google search. They will not find it without you. If you want to know what else the Canadian used market is hiding, subscribe. This is the only place these conversations happen.